All right, guys, it is podcast time. Wow, we got a good hair day going on today. So it is podcast time. Today, guys, we're talking about creating habits outside of the gym. The reason that I wanted to bring this one to you guys, the reason that I thought this would be an important episode to do is because the more I coach, the more I realize how important everything outside of the gym is. When I have athletes that are working with me that aren't necessarily seeing the results that they want to see, a lot of the time it comes from, oh, I'm too busy to train, or oh, I just like can't get the discipline going to to hit all my sessions. Like there's always a reason outside of just training itself that they aren't able to get to the gym. And so that's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about developing the habits outside of the gym in order to actually keep you consistent and in turn see the success that you want in your athletic career. So let's get into the show. We're going to be talking. So let's get into the show and then we'll get into all the details there. So let's go in 3, 2, 1. Welcome everybody to another episode of the Elite Development Podcast, the #1 show for athletes looking to gain an edge on their opponents and build their dream careers in sport. I'm your host, Kenny Dusseault, and today we are talking about building habits for success outside of the gym. Now, the reason I wanted to bring this one to you guys, and the reason that I felt this was such an important topic to talk about, is because the longer I coach, the more I realize that succeeding as an athlete is about so much more than being in great shape and being good at a sport. It's about how you approach every single day. And one of the most common things I see from athletes that I work with that are seeing success, as well as, athletes that are up at the highest level, seeing the success that you all want to see, is consistency in their habits. It's consistency in their habits. And oftentimes that's the difference I see as well between athletes that make it to the top level and those that fall off right before the top level. Consistency in their habits. It's not that what they're doing is the most insane, crazy, intense, whatever. It's that they do it every day. They don't miss. And something I've seen a lot in my own athletes over the years that has caused me to really shift the way that I coach, really shift my focus within my business, is I've seen a lot of athletes that were the reasons that they fall off of training isn't because they fall out of love with the sport. It isn't because they don't see results when they're training. It's that they don't stay consistent with it. They don't stay consistent with it. And then instead of asking themselves, how do I get consistent with this? And how do I make sure that I'm seeing the success that I want? Instead, what a lot of athletes do is they just quit. And I promise you, this is going to be something you regret later in life. So instead of just quitting on yourself, ask yourself what the next level is. Ask yourself how you can become the person that is going to see success at those levels. So when it comes to creating habits outside of the gym, when it comes to, improving who you are as a human being to help you improve as an athlete, what we need to really look at is where you're falling short right now. And so for a lot of athletes, where they're falling short right now is something along the lines of, being able to stay consistent with their training and with everything else in life. A lot of the time it's mental struggles. I spoke with an athlete recently that was dealing with just guilty feelings about missing a training session. And so if you're listening to this right now, what I want you to think is, where do you struggle right now in life and training? And so for a lot of athletes, let's say it's keeping consistent on a schedule. They know what they have to be doing in a week, but things kind of fall off because, the consistency in their schedule isn't great. So that's the biggest struggle. So if that's your biggest struggle, then what I need you to ask yourself is why. So as an example, with consistency in the schedule, why is it your biggest struggle? A lot of people are going to naturally go to, well, I'm just too busy, so I can't get to all my training sessions. And honestly, guys, I've said it before, I'll say it again. You're not too busy. We all have the same 24 hours in a day, and there's ways to make it work. I'm too busy is the quitter's response, because you're not willing to find a solution. So you just say, I'm too busy, I can't do it, I quit. But if you're actually looking to move up to new levels, if you're actually looking to see the success that you say you want to see, you need to figure out how to counteract the fact that you're as busy as you are. So right now, consistency is the biggest struggle. Reason is you're too busy. So instead of I'm too busy, so I quit and I won't do it anymore, how do we work around that? So step one is figuring out what you're too busy with. So what are you too busy with? And the way, because this was the big struggle for me for a long time when it came to, doing everything I needed to do to run a business and taking care of my health and, all of that kind of stuff. So the way I broke it down was this. I feel like I'm too busy to do everything I need to do. So what am I too busy with? And then I broke down the tasks that I have within my week. So as an example, I'm really busy because I have a lot of athletes. So programming for so many athletes is a time consuming task. I'm really busy because I have all these hours in the gym, and, being in the gym for at the time, like 30 hours a week was a very time consuming task. Well, I'm really busy because, I have, all these things to do to like maintain my home life too. So I broke down everything that was making me busy, that was making me feel like I didn't have time for everything that I needed to have time for. And I broke down what I was too busy with, because the next step is finding solutions. So the next step of that process for me was, after breaking down what I feel like, what I feel like I'm too busy with, I broke down where my time is being wasted. And this is very important to remember. And this is one that I believe a lot of you guys are going to get something out of. Where is your time being wasted? And so one thing, when I was going through this process myself of building better habits to get more out of my days, I looked at where my time was being wasted. I looked at the insights on my phone for how many hours a day I was spending on social media. And the number made me a little bit sick to my stomach. Now that number is very high because I use social media a lot with business, interacting with clients, interacting with new potential clients, promoting my company, helping other athletes, posting a lot like I do here. But at the time, I wasn't doing nearly as much of that. And my insights were still that I was spending 6 to 8 hours a day on social media. So one of the things that helped me save a lot of time, and then in turn make myself not too busy to fit everything I needed in, was being conscious about when I'm on my phone and when I'm not. Plain and simple. When I sat down to write programs for athletes, I put my phone in the other room. And now a 2.5 hour task took about an hour and 15 minutes because I wasn't getting distracted every few minutes, sending an Instagram message or, scrolling TikTok for 5 minutes. And that task took way less time. The other thing that really helped me there was setting timers for the tasks. So same idea, but just setting an intentional work session. I'm going to sit down, I'm going to work on programs for 30 minutes, and then I'm going to take a little break. Right? Doing something simple like that just helped me waste less time in the tasks that I had. Now, obviously, for like a training session or anything like that, that's a lot harder to do, but little things as well in relation to being an athlete. If you feel like you don't have enough time in your day, ask yourself, after training's over, how quickly are you leaving? Because a lot of people will finish the actual training session and then they'll hang out at the gym for an extra 30, 45 minutes to, chill and talk and whatever. And I'm not telling you you can't chill and talk with your teammates, but if you're short on time, you need to build those habits of, when training's over, I've got to be out in 10 minutes. Because something like that might save you 25 minutes every training session. And if you're training 6 days a week, 25 minutes every training session adds up, right? So again, the other big one, like I've already mentioned, is social media. Like, go through and check your phone for how much time you're spending on social media and make a conscious effort to cut it down. This doesn't mean you have to never touch Instagram or whatever, but make a conscious effort to cut it down. And right there, you're going to free up more time for yourself. So the other big habit that I was able to instill with myself that is going to be massive for all of you guys as well is scheduling in day-to-day life tasks. So as an example, right now, I have a morning routine and a morning work routine. So every morning I go through that morning routine. I'm up at 4:30. I have my coffee, my water, my shower. After that, I have a 10-minute meditation that I do. I review my company vision. I review my why. I set my intentions for the day, and then I get to work. And then the work routine has about 6 things on it that I do every morning as well that just help me get my day off to a productive start. So by 7 a.m., I've moved my business forward. Maybe not always significantly, but by 7 a.m. every single day, I've moved my business forward. Now, after that work routine is when I go train. So now training doesn't get stuck till, I'm finished at the gym at 8 o'clock at night. It's done by 9:30, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock in the morning, depending on how long the morning work takes. But as soon as I finish that, I go for my lift. And just keeping that schedule and making sure that I remember every day when this routine is done in the morning, I go to train, helps me keep the training in my schedule, make sure that I'm not neglecting my health, but also frees up time in the day because now it's not dragging through till the end of the night and I'm not taking an hour and a half when I want to be going to bed to go for a workout, or I'm not skipping the workout because it ended up being too late at night. Now, for you guys, obviously, I understand a lot of training sessions might be scheduled in, but as an example, I have a lot of online clients, and that's what I tell them to do too, is at the beginning of the week, look and see what days do I have time for my strength and conditioning this week, and when can I schedule it in? And then having that scheduled in makes sure that you don't skip it. Make sure that you don't give I didn't have time this week because it's scheduled into your week. But the key there too, guys, is you can't schedule it into your week and then neglect it, right? Because if you schedule it in and say every day at 10 o'clock, I'm going to go train, and then 10 o'clock rolls around and you're like, oh, I'm tired, I don't really want to. It's like, then you're going to fall off of that routine. But the key there is freaking discipline. It's not that hard. If you schedule it into your day, go fucking do it. That's it. If you schedule it into your day, go fucking do it. No one can force you. Go fucking do it. And if you find yourself skipping purely based off of, I don't feel like it or I don't want to, that's a whole other story. That comes back to the vision. That comes back to why you are actually here. And the big thing there, a minute ago, I just talked about my own morning routine and like reviewing my company vision, my why, and then going and like doing my meditation and all of that. And this is something I would highly recommend for all of you as well. Obviously, if you're an athlete, not a business owner, it doesn't have to be a company vision. It can be a career vision. So if you're an athlete and you're listening to this and you find yourself skipping training sessions or not going to your lifts or whatever it might be because, you're tired, you're sore, you don't feel like it today, whatever, then that tells me that your vision's not clear enough. And you might be saying, well, but I want to be a UFC champion. I already know that. And that's fine. But when do you want to get there? What division are you going to be the champion of? How many pro fights do you want leading into that championship? How much money do you want in the bank? How well known do you want to be? What kind of ventures outside of fighting do you want to have in your business, in your life? Because if you can be clear on all of these things, what do you want your home life to look like? What kind of car do you want to drive? What kind of house do you want to live in? Because if you can be clear on all these things, then guys, the benefit of that is that when you wake up early in the morning, if you have clarity on exactly what you're working for, exactly what the next steps are, exactly how long until that goal, until you want to achieve that goal, now waking up in the morning is easy. Because when I wake up at 4:30 in the morning, I'm not getting up at 4:30 in the morning to work so that I can start working today. I'm getting up at 4:30 in the morning because by the end of 2025, I want to be helping 250 athletes around the world with my company. And the guy who slacks off and sleeps in doesn't get to do that. So for you guys, if you want to be in the UFC by 2025, in the UFC by 2028, whatever the year is, ask yourself, does the UFC version of you slack off and sleep in? Does the UFC version of you skip training because he's tired or she's tired? Does the UFC version of you make excuses to not hit the gym? Or do they say, fuck how I'm feeling, I have a training session I have to go to, and go to the fucking training session? Probably number two. And this is where it comes down to creating these habits. So the habits are important. Finding the time in your week and actually scheduling out the day-to-day tasks. And when I talk about that too, I mentioned training, but like guys, I schedule out when I go to do groceries. Like I know that every Sunday I go do groceries because every Sunday I have time, and every Sunday I know I can do it. And then if I skip that on Sundays, it throws my freaking week off. So I don't like having that panic time. So schedule those things into your week. And the reason that that's so beneficial is, again, like I mentioned with the training, but this works on so many different levels. The reason it's so beneficial to have that schedule laid out in front of you, even if it's you that has to do it and not someone doing it for you, the reason that's so beneficial is because it gives clarity to your mind. You're not waking up every day going, do I have all the groceries I need? What time do I train tonight? Have I done my strength and conditioning this week? Do I have to go somewhere? Like, you wake up, on Thursdays, I have this, and this, and that's it. And by doing that and creating that clarity, now you can add more into your day. And you add more into your day because you know what the day consists of. You know what the day entails. And then when other opportunities come up, like as an example, right now, I know that if Wednesday evenings something comes up, I can't do it because I've got a lot of shit going on Wednesdays. Tuesday evenings, I'm good. If something comes up and it's something that I want to make time for, I know that I can do that on Tuesday evenings because I have my days planned out in advance. So I can add more to my day. I can get my 10-hour day done in 10 hours. Because instead of waking up and going, shit, what do I have to do today? I'm waking up and I already have it planned out. So when you have that excuse of not having the time or have that excuse of being too busy to hit the gym, it's not that you're too busy. It's not that you don't have the time. It's that you don't have the habits in place to give you clarity on how your week is being spent. And in turn, you're skipping it because your day is filling up with other things. So instead of allowing that to happen to yourself, plan it out in advance and make the time. Because guys, that is the other thing. Like, we speak to athletes on this show. If you're listening to this, the chances are you have some pretty high level goals. And when it comes to having high level goals, there's no one that can force you to do it. There's no one that can force you to hit the gym when you don't want to. There's no one that can force you to, become a UFC fighter. There's no one that can force you to, rise through the ranks like that. It has to come from you. And if it doesn't come from you, then you either lack clarity on your vision or you don't want it that badly. And if you don't, that's fine. But admit that to yourself, because otherwise you're wasting your time. So when it comes to creating habits outside of the gym, the big thing I want you guys to take away from all of this, obviously we dug more into the not having time, but I want to leave it off with the big thing I want you guys taking away from this is when it comes to creating habits from the gym, outside of the gym, it's about figuring out where you're weak right now as a person, as an athlete, whatever, and then creating habits around fixing that problem. So if you're sitting here right now and you say, oh, my nutrition is garbage, then the habit you need to work on is your nutrition. Why is your nutrition garbage? What can you do to fix it? And then what are the action steps you can take? And that is the answer, regardless of what that problem is. If it's time, if that problem is money, guys, yes, I understand that money can be tight. However, where is your money being spent? Is there money being wasted? Is there a way for you to take on a part-time job one day a week for a few hours that's going to pay you a little bit more so that you can have the money you need? Like, whatever the problem is, there is an answer. So instead of quitting on yourself, think critically. Ask yourself, what is the problem? Why is that the problem? And dig deep. Don't allow yourself to say, I can't make my training sessions because I'm too busy. Why are you too busy? Where is the time? So what is the problem? Why is that the problem? Where can I make immediate fixes to that problem? So where is the time being wasted? And then once you have those three, what are the action steps beyond that to consistently make a change to fix this issue? So like I said, for myself, when it came down to the issue of feeling like I was too busy to get everything done that I needed to get done, the problem was my time management. So how did I fix my time management? Setting habits and routines in the morning that allowed me to better schedule out my days. And now in turn, I do 5 times as much work in the day and it feels easier. And this is what it can do for you guys too. So that is it. That is all. I appreciate you all tuning in, especially if you made it this far. Thank you. As always, my one ask of you is to share the show with a friend, share the show with a teammate, share with someone who needs to hear this message. And as always, I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope you got some value. If you did, I would love to know what it is. And that is it for me. We'll talk again soon.